He was just a homeless veteran. Until he said Aurora 6, and the Pentagon called Marcus Thompson sat on the cold concrete steps of the downtown library, watching people walk past him like he was invisible. His worn-out army jacket hung loose on his thin frame, and his beard had grown wild from months of living on the streets. The cardboard sign next to him read, "Homeless veteran, anything helps," in faded black marker. Most people didn't even look at him. They hurried past, talking on their phones or staring at their screens. Marcus had gotten used to being ignored. After 2 tours in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq, he had come home to find that nobody seemed to care about what he had done for his country. The nightmares still came every night. The sounds of explosions, the faces of friends who didn't make it home. The weight of secrets he could never tell anyone. The VA hospital had given him some pills and told him to come back in 3 months. 3 months felt like forever when you were sleeping in doorways and eating from trash cans. "Hey, soldier boy," a voice called out from across the street. Marcus looked up to see 3 young men walking toward him. They were dressed in expensive clothes and had the kind of swagger that came from never having to worry about where their next meal would come from. "You begging again?" The tallest one laughed. "Maybe you should get a real job instead of sitting around feeling sorry for yourself." Marcus didn't respond. He had learned that fighting back only made things worse. The police never believed a homeless man over well-dressed college kids. He just pulled his jacket tighter and looked down at his hands. "I'm talking to you." The young man kicked Marcus's cardboard sign, sending it flying into the street. "You're making this place look bad. Why don't you go find somewhere else to beg?" "Leave him alone, Brad," one of the other boys said quietly. "He's not bothering anyone." "Shut up, Kevin. These losers need to learn they can't just sit around expecting handouts." Brad stepped closer to Marcus. "I bet you never even saw real combat. Probably just sat in some safe office somewhere and now you want everyone to feel sorry for you." Something inside Marcus snapped. He had stayed quiet through the insults, the kicks, the complete lack of respect. But questioning his service, questioning the friends he had lost and the missions he had completed, was too much. Marcus stood up slowly. Even though he was thin from hunger, he was still tall, and his eyes held a hardness that made Brad take a step back. "You want to know what I did?" Marcus asked quietly. "I was part of a special operations unit. We did things that kept this country safe while you were probably playing video games in your dorm room." "Yeah, right," Brad laughed nervously. "What kind of special operations? Cleaning toilets?" Marcus stared at him for a long moment. The memories came flooding back. The classified missions, the code names, the things he had sworn never to speak about. But maybe it was time someone knew that he wasn't just some random homeless guy. "Aurora 6, Marcus said quietly. The words hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Brad and his friends just looked confused. But Marcus immediately regretted saying them. Those 2 words were supposed to stay buried forever. "What the hell is Aurora 6? Brad asked. "Sounds made up to me." But Kevin was staring at Marcus with wide eyes. Kevin's father worked for the Department of Defense, and Kevin had heard enough conversations at dinner to know that certain code names were not supposed to be spoken outside of secure facilities. "Brad, we should go," Kevin said urgently, grabbing his friend's arm. "No way. I want to hear more about this Aurora 6 thing. What is it, some secret mission to save the world?" Brad was still laughing, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. Marcus realized he had made a terrible mistake. Aurora 6 was not just classified, it was beyond classified. It was the kind of secret that could get people killed just for knowing about it. He had spent 3 years of his life on missions so secret that they didn't officially exist. "Forget I said anything," Marcus mumbled, sitting back down. "Just leave me alone." But it was too late. Kevin was already pulling out his phone, typing frantically. Marcus watched in growing horror as the young man sent what was probably a text to someone who would know what Aurora 6 meant. "Kevin, what are you doing?" Brad asked. "My dad needs to know about this," Kevin said without looking up from his phone. "Aurora 6 is real, and if this guy really knows about it—" Marcus felt his heart racing. In less than 24 hours, people would be looking for him. People who had the power to make him disappear permanently. He had survived Afghanistan, Iraq, and years of classified missions, only to doom himself by speaking 2 words to some college kids who were making fun of him. The 3 young men finally walked away, but not before Kevin took a picture of Marcus with his phone. Marcus knew that photo was probably already being sent to very dangerous people. As the sun began to set, Marcus gathered his few belongings and started walking. He needed to find somewhere to hide, but he knew it wouldn't matter. If Aurora 6 was compromised, there was nowhere safe for him to go. The first rule of classified operations was simple: never speak the code names. Marcus had broken that rule, and now he would have to face the consequences. He walked through the city streets as darkness fell, knowing that by morning, everything would change. The homeless veteran who nobody paid attention to was about to become the most wanted man in America. Marcus found an abandoned building on the outskirts of town and settled in for what might be his last night of freedom. As he tried to sleep, the memories of Aurora 6 came flooding back. The missions in countries that didn't exist on any map, the weapons that weren't supposed to exist, the enemies who had been eliminated without any record of their deaths. He had been good at his job, maybe too good. And now, years later, that job was about to catch up with him in ways he never could have imagined. In his pocket, Marcus felt the weight of the only thing he had kept from his military service, a small device that looked like an ordinary USB drive. It contained information that could start wars or end them. Information that was worth more than the lives of everyone in the city. Marcus had thought that part of his life was over. He had thought he could disappear into the homeless population and live out his days in peaceful anonymity. But Aurora 6 was never really over. It was just waiting for the right moment to pull him back in. And that moment had finally arrived. He was just a homeless veteran, until he said Aurora 6 and the Pentagon called Marcus woke up to the sound of helicopters. 3 black aircraft circled overhead like hungry vultures, their searchlights cutting through the early morning darkness. He had maybe 5 minutes before they found his hiding spot in the abandoned warehouse. Moving quickly but quietly, Marcus grabbed his backpack and headed for the building's rear exit. He had learned to always have an escape route during his years with Aurora 6, and those skills were about to save his life again. As he slipped out the back door, Marcus could hear vehicles surrounding the building. Heavy boots stomped across the concrete floor where he had been sleeping just moments before. These weren't regular police or even FBI. The coordination and equipment meant this was military, probably Special Operations Command. Marcus made it 2 blocks before his phone rang. He almost didn't answer it, but the number showing on the cracked screen made his blood run cold. It was a number he hadn't seen in 5 years, a number that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. "Marcus Thompson," a familiar voice said when he answered. "You've caused quite a stir." "Colonel Harrison?" Marcus whispered, pressing himself against a brick wall in an alley. "I thought you were dead." "Officially, I am. Unofficially, I've been running damage control for Aurora 6 since you all went dark. And right now, you're the biggest damage I've ever had to control." Marcus remembered Colonel Harrison as a thin, intense man who never smiled and never explained anything twice. He had been their handler during the most dangerous missions, the one who decided who lived and who died. "I didn't mean to say it," Marcus explained. "These kids were hassling me, and one of them questioned my service. I lost my temper." "I know exactly what happened. Kevin Morrison, son of Deputy Defense Secretary Morrison. The boy sent a photo and the code name directly to his father within minutes of your conversation. By midnight, Every intelligence agency in the country was looking for you. Marcus could hear the helicopters getting closer. What do they want? Aurora 6 was disbanded years ago. That's what we told everyone, Harrison said grimly. But Aurora 6 never really ended, Marcus. It just went deeper underground. And the mission you were part of in Syria 5 years ago? The one where you retrieved that drive from the Russian facility? Marcus's hand instinctively went to his pocket where the small device still rested. What about it? The information on that drive became the foundation for a new weapons program, something called Project Nightfall. But 3 days ago, someone leaked details about Nightfall to the Russians. We have a traitor somewhere in the chain. And you're the only Aurora 6 operative still alive who has access to the original data. The words hit Marcus like a punch to the stomach. The only one still alive? What happened to the others? Car accidents, overdoses, suicides, all very convenient and all within the past 6 months. Someone is cleaning house, Marcus. And you're next on the list. Marcus heard footsteps at the end of the alley and ducked behind a dumpster. 2 men in dark suits were systematically checking every hiding spot. These weren't military. They moved like professional killers. Who's hunting us? Marcus whispered into the phone. We don't know yet. Could be foreign agents, could be someone in our own government who wants Aurora 6 buried permanently. All we know is that they have access to classified files and unlimited resources. Then why are you helping me? How do I know this isn't a trap? Harrison was quiet for a moment. Because Aurora 6 was my operation, Marcus. Those men were my responsibility, and because the drive in your pocket contains the only evidence that can prove Nightfall was compromised from the beginning. Marcus froze. How do you know I still have the drive? Because I know you, soldier. You never throw away operational equipment, even when ordered to, and right now, that drive is the only thing keeping you alive. As long as you have it, they need you breathing. The men in suits were getting closer. Marcus could see one of them talking into a radio, coordinating with the teams searching the area. He needed to move, but Harrison wasn't finished. Listen carefully. There's a safe house on Maple Street, number 247. Red door, white shutters. The key is under the 3rd flower pot from the left. Get there, and we'll extract you tonight. How do I know I can trust you? You don't. But right now, I'm the only person in the government who wants you alive. Everyone else just wants that drive, and they don't care if they have to kill you to get it. The line went dead. Marcus pocketed the phone and started moving through the maze of alleys and side streets. The safe house was 12 blocks away, and every step would be dangerous. As he made his way through the city, Marcus began to piece together what had really happened to Aurora 6. They hadn't been disbanded. They had been betrayed. Someone had sold out the entire team to cover their tracks on Project Nightfall. The drive in his pocket suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. It contained deployment schedules, weapon specifications, and target lists for operations that supposedly never happened. In the wrong hands, it could expose decades of classified missions and get hundreds of agents killed. But in the right hands, it could prove that Aurora 6 had been set up to fail from the beginning. Marcus reached Maple Street as the sun was rising. The safe house looked ordinary, just another suburban home with a small garden, an American flag hanging by the door. But as he approached, Marcus noticed things that most people would miss. The windows were bulletproof. The garden had clear sight lines in all directions. The neighbors' houses were just far enough away to prevent eavesdropping. He found the key exactly where Harrison had said it would be and let himself inside. The house was furnished but felt empty, like a movie set designed to look lived in. Marcus searched the rooms quickly and found what he was looking for in the basement: a secure communications setup and enough weapons to fight a small war. For the first time in months, Marcus felt like himself again. He cleaned the guns, tested the radio equipment, and set up defensive positions throughout the house. If someone wanted the drive, they would have to come through him to get it. As afternoon turned to evening, Marcus finally allowed himself to think about what came next. Even if Harrison successfully extracted him, his life as a homeless veteran was over. He would either be dead by morning, or he would be pulled back into a world of secrets and violence that he had tried so hard to escape. The radio crackled to life just as the sun was setting. "Guardian Base, this is Extraction Team Alpha. We are 5 minutes out. Package ready for pickup?" Marcus looked around the safe house one last time. In a few minutes, men with guns would either rescue him or kill him. Either way, the homeless veteran who sat outside the library begging for change was gone forever. "This is Guardian Base," Marcus replied into the radio. "Package is secure and ready for extraction." Outside, he could hear vehicles approaching. The final phase of Aurora 6 was about to begin, and this time Marcus intended to be the one who survived. He was just a homeless veteran. Until he said Aurora 6, and the Pentagon called the vehicles that pulled up to the safe house weren't what Marcus expected. Instead of military trucks or unmarked government cars, 3 ordinary-looking SUVs parked across the street. The men who got out were dressed like businessmen, but Marcus could see the bulge of weapons under their jackets. Something was wrong. Marcus grabbed the radio. "Extraction Team Alpha, identify your team leader." The response came immediately. "Team leader is Falcon 77. We are ready to proceed with extraction." Marcus's blood ran cold. Falcon 77 had been the call sign of Captain Rodriguez, one of his Aurora 6 teammates. But Rodriguez had died in a car crash 3 months ago, according to the news reports Marcus had seen. Someone was using his dead friend's identity to get close to him. Marcus quickly moved to the basement and activated the house's security system. Steel shutters slammed down over the windows, and reinforced locks engaged on all the doors. The safe house had just become a fortress, but Marcus knew it wouldn't hold forever. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We have Colonel Harrison. Surrender the drive and we'll let him live." The message included a photo that made Marcus's heart sink. Harrison was tied to a chair in what looked like a warehouse, blood running down his face from a cut above his eye. The man who had tried to save Marcus was now a prisoner because of him. Marcus stared at the drive in his hands. It was barely larger than a thumb drive, but it contained enough secrets to topple governments. The mission in Syria, where he had retrieved it, had cost 3 good soldiers their lives. Now it might cost Harrison his life, too. The radio crackled again. "Guardian Base, you have 60 seconds to open the door and surrender the package. After that, we start using explosives." Marcus made his decision. He couldn't let Harrison die, but he also couldn't hand over the drive to people who had already murdered his entire team. There had to be a third option. He quickly connected the drive to the house's secure computer system and began uploading its contents to every major news organization in the country. If he was going to die, at least the truth about Aurora 6 and Project Nightfall would survive him. The upload would take 10 minutes. Marcus just had to stay alive that long. The first explosion took out the front door. Smoke grenades followed, filling the main floor with thick gray clouds. Marcus could hear boots pounding across the wooden floors above him as the assault team searched the house. "Basement!" someone shouted. "He's got to be in the basement!" Marcus positioned himself behind a concrete pillar and waited. The basement had only one entrance, which meant the attackers would have to come down the stairs one at a time. It was a defensive advantage, but it wouldn't last long against professional killers. The first man down the stairs was wearing full tactical gear and night vision goggles. Marcus took him down with a single shot to the chest. The second man was more careful, using his dead teammate as cover, but Marcus was ready for that too. "Thompson!" a voice called from upstairs. "You're only making this harder on yourself." "We just want the drive. Give it to us, and we'll make your death quick." Marcus checked the computer. 8 minutes remaining on the upload. "Who are you people?" Marcus shouted back. "Who's paying you to kill Aurora 6 veterans?" "Does it matter? You're all dead anyway. Your friend Harrison is already bleeding out in our warehouse. You want to join him?" Anger flared in Marcus's chest. Harrison had risked everything to help him, and now he was paying the price for Marcus's mistakes. But giving up wouldn't save Harrison. These people didn't leave witnesses alive. Marcus heard movement on the stairs again. This time they were trying to be sneaky, but the old wooden steps creaked under their weight. He fired 3 shots into the stairwell, and someone screamed in pain. 6 minutes, Marcus muttered to himself, watching the progress bar crawl across the computer screen. His phone buzzed again. Another message with another photo. This time it showed Harrison with a gun pointed at his head. The message was simple. "Drive or he dies. You have 5 minutes." Marcus stared at the photo, trying to see any clues about where Harrison was being held. In the background, he could make out part of a sign. "Storage unit." It looked like a storage facility, probably somewhere nearby. 4 minutes remaining on the upload. Marcus made a choice that would have shocked his Aurora 6 instructors. Instead of waiting for the attackers to come to him, he went on the offensive. He grabbed every weapon he could carry and headed for the stairs. The men hunting him expected him to hide and defend. They wouldn't expect him to attack. Marcus moved through the smoke-filled house like a ghost, using skills he had learned in the most dangerous places on Earth. The attackers were good, but they weren't Aurora 6 good. Within 3 minutes, 4 more men were down, and Marcus was heading for the back door. 2 minutes remaining on the upload. Marcus reached the computer just as the progress bar hit 100%. The secrets of Aurora 6 and Project Nightfall were now in the hands of journalists around the world. Even if he died tonight, the truth would survive. He grabbed a motorcycle from the garage and roared into the night, following his memory of storage facilities in the area. Behind him, the safe house exploded in a ball of flame as the remaining attackers tried to destroy any evidence of what had happened. Marcus found the storage facility 6 blocks away. Harrison's car was parked outside Unit 47, just as Marcus had hoped. But as he approached the building, Marcus realized he was walking into a trap. They were waiting for him. Marcus kicked down the door of the storage unit and found Harrison exactly as he had appeared in the photo, tied to a chair with a gun pointed at his head. But the man holding the gun wasn't a stranger. "Hello, Marcus," said Deputy Defense Secretary Morrison, Kevin's father. "I've been waiting a long time for this conversation." "You?" Marcus couldn't believe it. "You're the traitor? You sold out Aurora 6? Morrison smiled coldly. "I didn't sell out anything. I created Aurora 6 to steal those weapon specifications from the Russians. Project Nightfall was always meant to be compromised. We wanted the Russians to think they had stolen our technology when actually we had stolen theirs." "You used us," Marcus whispered. "You sent us to die for your lies. I sent you to serve your country. The fact that you were all expendable was unfortunate but necessary. Aurora 6 was never meant to survive its mission." Harrison spoke for the first time since Marcus had arrived. His voice was weak but determined. "Show him the drive, Marcus. Show him what we really found in Syria." Marcus pulled out the device and held it up. "This isn't just weapons technology, is it? This is evidence of war crimes. Evidence that Morrison and his people have been selling American secrets to our enemies for years." Morrison's face went pale. "Impossible. That drive only contains the Nightfall specifications." "No," Harrison said with a painful smile. "The drive Marcus retrieved contains financial records, communication logs, and video evidence of your treasonous activities. We've known about your operation for months. Aurora 6 was never about stealing Russian technology. It was about gathering evidence to put you in prison." The truth hit Marcus like a thunderbolt. Aurora 6 hadn't been betrayed after the mission. They had been the betrayers all along. They had been loyal to America, not to Morrison's corrupt scheme. Morrison raised his gun, but Marcus was faster. Years of combat training took over, and within seconds, Morrison was on the ground, disarmed and bleeding from a broken nose. "It's over," Marcus said, untying Harrison from the chair. "The drive's contents have already been sent to every news agency in the country. By morning, everyone will know what you've done." Harrison struggled to his feet, wincing from his injuries. "What about Aurora 6? What about our dead teammates?" Marcus looked at the drive in his hands, then at Morrison writhing on the floor. "Aurora 6 was always about serving the truth. Our teammates died protecting that truth. Now the whole world will know they were heroes, not traitors." 6 months later, Marcus sat in a clean apartment, reading a newspaper with the headline, "Pentagon Corruption Scandal Leads to Massive Arrests." Morrison and 17 other government officials were in prison, awaiting trial for treason. Marcus was no longer homeless. The government had quietly given him a new identity, a comfortable pension, and a medal that would never be publicly acknowledged. He had been offered a job with a new classified program, but he had turned it down. Some secrets were worth keeping. Others were worth dying to expose. Marcus had learned the difference, and it had saved not just his life, but his country. The homeless veteran who had sat outside the library was gone forever. In his place was a man who had faced the worst corruption imaginable and had chosen to do the right thing, regardless of the cost. Marcus folded the newspaper and smiled. Sometimes, the best operations were the ones that ended with the truth being told to everyone. Aurora 6 was finally complete.